Guys, graduation. A time signaling change from what once was to what will be. Some call it a shift in ages, and I will know. I'm graduating from college on Sunday. Thank you, thank you. I will accept all congratulations in the comments. To me, graduation is all about acknowledging all the work that you've done, but then looking at the newcomers and being like, you're next. And nowhere is that more true right now than in the anime sphere. In case you haven't heard because you've been living under a rock, Black Clover's manga just finished. And what that means now is that all 4 candidates of the new gen Big 3 debate have all officially finished, at least as far as their mangas are concerned. With Demon Slayer having finished long ago in 2020, both My Hero and JJK having finished in 2024, and now Black Clover last week, the new gen era of anime has essentially graduated. But that leaves a phenomenal question. Who's next? What are the new titles that are going to keep anime discourse alive and well for the next decade or so? Well, that's what we're going to explore today as we explain all 6 candidates of new era's potential Big 3. So sit back and relax, y'all, because this is going to be the new era's Big 3 explained. But first, guys, before we get into all of that, please, even if you're just doing it as a congratulations to me for graduating, I need y'all to like the video, subscribe to this page for more anime content just like this every week, and share it around with all your friends who love the series. You know we always say here, let's get it going. Now, first things first, we gotta reframe what the Big 3 means in this context, because if not, it's gonna be people who misunderstand the premise and will say some dumb shit like, oh, Cowboy Bebop deserves to replace Bleach. Genuine discussion I've had with somebody, by the way. The Big 3, at least when referring specifically to One Piece, Naruto, and Bleach's generation, were the biggest ongoing battle shonen of the late 90s, early 2000s era. And it wasn't just about being popular. It was about consistently dominating Weekly Shonen Jump with frankly insane numbers for what was, at the time, an emerging medium as far as the world was concerned. All 3 are massive, long-running anime that crossed over into global consciousness and really put anime as a whole on the map. And when you talk about the future generations, that's where it becomes a bit more of a debate. In trying to find the Big 3 of future generations, fans start to incorporate mainstream appeal into the mix, as well as long-term storytelling, world building, and deep characterization. And personally, I'd say there's 5 main criteria for Big 3 eligibility. Popularity, which includes manga sales as well as anime traction. Longevity, which refers to having enough content or world building to sustain conversation. Identity, which refers to having a premise or style that is unique enough to not just be a copy of another anime, but not so unique that people don't find it familiar enough to engage with. Influence potential, which is just how influential can this manga be on those that come after it. And community presence, basically anything having to do with being online. And that can take the form of theories and agendas, power scaling debates, memes and edits, and in general online discourse, especially on Twitter. You know that your series made it if they dragging it on Twitter. With that in mind, there are 6 anime that from everything that I've seen and heard, I believe are deserving to be in these conversations. Those being Dandadan, Sakamoto Days, Kagurabachi, Gachiakuda, Undead Unluck, and Kaiju number 8. Most of these series are pretty far along into their manga, with some of them even already being done. Plus, with last week's announcement of Kagurabachi's first season set for next year, all 6 have now been adapted into anime to some degree. So what I'm gonna do is talk through each of them and what they have going for them before choosing what I believe the proper 3 to be. And so, starting us off, we have Dandadan. Easily the weirdest of the bunch, and that's what makes it great. Created by Yukinobu Tatsu, it began serialization on April 6, 2021. It is ongoing with 232 chapters, with an anime adaptation by Science Saru spanning 2 seasons so far. Dandadan is a chaotic, supernatural sci-fi series centered around Momo Ayase and Ken Takakura, 2 teenagers who believe in opposite paranormal phenomena, ghosts and aliens, only to find out that both are real. What starts as a bizarre comedy quickly evolves into an emotionally driven story about loneliness, growing up, trauma, and human connection. And y'all, Dandadan is super cool. They get to fight off the ghosts and aliens with these powers that they themselves get and don't even really understand half the time. And also, they form a budding romance because, I mean, of course they do. But low-key, it's a lot more interesting than basically any slice of life. And I'm not gonna lie, Dandadan at this point has wide mainstream appeal. For one, it already just has one of the most popular anime openings of all time with Otsutsunoke. Then between Turbo Granny, who we've all just accepted as Luffy on crack, and Granny Seiko, everyone's newest favorite MILF, the cast is just great. Its anime is one of the most beautifully adapted in a long time, especially season 1, episode 7. I mean, Acrobat Silky? But the series stands out because of how seamlessly it balanced absurd humor, romance, horror, and truly stellar action, all while making it feel natural to the world. It blends themes of adolescence, intimacy, and insecurity, and how one's belief in the supernatural almost parallels their own emotional vulnerability. But Dandadan's biggest strength by far is just, it's flippin' weird, but it still fits into this wacky world that it's created for itself. It makes it one of the few modern anime where you genuinely don't know what's going to happen next, and that makes it engaging. At this point, it's genuinely impossible to ignore, and you're doing yourself a disservice if you still haven't seen it. Next, we got the story of fighting fate on Dead on Luck. Created by Yoshifumi Tozuka, it began serialization on January 20th, 2020, the oldest of the 6 that we'll talk about. It concluded January 27th of last year with a total of 239 chapters, with an anime adaptation by David Productions spanning 1 season. Undead Unluck takes place in a universe governed by literal rules imposed by a godlike being, where monsters called Uma embody concepts like death, change, and luck. In response, certain humans awaken negator abilities that negate those rules. The story follows Fuko Izumo and Andy as they uncover the truth behind the world while battling both monsters and fate itself. Now, Undead Unluck is my personal favorite of the bunch. I already have an entire video on the channel dedicated to explaining why its power system is the best one I've seen in modern shonen. But overall, its creativity is genuinely like no other. The uniqueness of how its power system functions, the way that it's so tied into its lore, it's genuinely so refreshing to see that it's not just another case of, oh, everybody has this kind of energy and you can transform that energy into elements. Nothing wrong with that, by the way. I'm just saying this is inspired. What makes the series really special is that every battle, every power, every piece ties directly into the lore and the world building, creating one of the most creative and tightly constructed systems in modern anime manga. Also, its ending, as far as the way that all the plot threads are tied up and the way that the the universe escalates, genuinely one of the best that I've seen. And I'm talking right up there with FMAB. The third series we're going to talk about is the gritty, grimy Gacha Kuda. Created by Kei Arana, it began serialization on February 16th, 2022. It is ongoing with 167 chapters. Don't do the thing, with an anime adaptation by Studio Bones spanning 1 season so far. Gacha Kuda follows Rudo, a boy born in the slums of a floating society where the rich literally throw out both trash and people into the abyss below. After being falsely accused of murder and cast into the pit, Rudo discovers a hidden world filled with monstrous trash beasts and a group known as the Cleaners, with the story revolving around him climbing his way out of hell to confront the mystery of his framing. Now, if Undead Unluck is my long-standing favorite, Gacha Kuda is the thing that surprised me the most last year. As someone who personally loves world building, which it does very well and very tightly, I literally put it in my top 3 anime of 2025. And that's for good reason. It easily has the most unique and recognizable world aesthetic. You can see the grunginess everywhere you look. Again, there's a whole Gacha Kuda video on my channel waiting for you to watch it after this one. The series mixes intense actions with themes of classism, discrimination, purpose, and self-worth, while building one of the most visually stunning worlds in modern anime. It also has a really interesting power system that is quite literally born from the quote, "One man's trash is another man's treasure." Vital instruments take random everyday objects and imbue them with power corresponding to how much the person cares for that object. It also makes every new fight and every new character actually intriguing, because now we're thinking, ooh, what new power is this person gonna have? All while being tied to the story's themes. It also does feel very shonen in the whole idea of found family. Of course, you have the classic mentor figure dying and the MC having to be thrown into this group of non-related friends that they have to come to care for. Also, it's written by a woman, and as somebody who believes that we need more women writing shonen, this is a great step in the right direction. Next up, we got the group's wildcard. So say hello to the shonenized version of Attack on Titan, Kaiju number 8. Created by Naoya Matsumoto, it began serialization on July 3rd, 2020. It's concluded with 129 chapters, with an anime adaptation by Production IG spanning 2 seasons. Kaiju number 8 revolves around the emergence of these giant monsters called Kaiju and those who fight against them. The story centers on Kafka Hibino, an older protagonist whose lifelong dream of joining Japan's anti-kaiju defense force seems impossible till he gains the power to transform into one himself. Now, Kaiju number 8 is in a very interesting position relative to its peers in that its MC isn't a kid. The series has a strong theme of unrealized ambition and what it means to grow up, which gives it a tone different from most modern shonen with teenage MCs. The appeal of it comes from watching an adult protagonist chasing the dream that he thought he had to abandon as a kid, all while hiding the very thing that could make him hated by the very country that he's sworn to protect. And one of Kaiju's greatest strengths is its accessibility to a wide audience. As I mentioned, you get a bit of the older folks tapping in because they see a bit of themselves in Kafka, but the premise is also easily understandable, with just enough mystery to keep us intrigued. And it's also just really breathtakingly beautiful to watch. I mean, I haven't heard of Production IG before, but they are doing a phenomenal job making me feel as if I'm really fighting this towering, hulking creature, and the powerlessness that you really feel from that. Now, we can't forget to talk about the hilarious and vivid comeback kid, Sakamoto Days. Created by Yuto Suzuki, it began serialization on November 21st, 2020. It's currently ongoing with 258 chapters, with an anime adaptation by TMS Entertainment spanning, well, technically one season that has split off into 2 parts, but if you want to call them 2 seasons, I'm not gonna stop you. Sakamoto Days follows Taro Sakamoto, a retired legendary assassin who gave up killing to settle down with a family and run a convenience store. Despite his peaceful lifestyle, his old world constantly drags him back into insane fights against other assassins, forcing him to protect the normal life that he values so much. Now for me, this is definitely the show that makes me laugh the most. Its humor is kind of absurd, but it fits into the vibrant world that it's creating, and the powers and abilities that they have make sense for the scale of the world without seeming too extreme. Its creative action choreography manages to make even everyday store items feel dangerous. And beneath all the humor, it's also a personal story about aging, purpose, and choosing happiness over violence. The way that the world is set up, you really can't believe that these are just, humans who've been augmented to superhuman as opposed to some crazy outside race. Well, actually, the jury's still out on Sakamoto. This guy isn't normal. I'm sorry, the way that he can go back and forth between his current chubby self and his peak form with the muscles and the no mustache, hey, I'm sorry bruh, he's tough. Finally, we have the group's safest pick, the dark, edgy, and very swordy Kagurabachi. Created by Takeru Hokuzono, it began serialization on September 19th, 2023. The newest out of the 6. It's currently ongoing with 124 chapters, with an anime adaptation of its first season produced by Psypic scheduled for April next year. Kagurabachi follows Chihiro Rokuhira, the son of a legendary swordsmith who sets out on a path of revenge after a group of sorcerers murders his father and steals a set of enchanted blades. The series quickly evolves into a stylish and emotionally layered story about grief, legacy, and what it means to carry someone's ideals after they're gone. Now admittedly, Kagurabachi is the one that I personally am the earliest into. I remember starting to read it back when the hype for it was skyrocketing, but then I remember I got to around the 30-ish chapter mark and then kind of dropped it because life was getting hectic. It all came full circle. Now that I'm graduating, I'll have time to read it. The manga initially exploded in popularity because of its cinematic paneling and sharp action choreography, which, when coupled with its grounded emotional storytelling, already had fans believing that this would be the next major battle shonen. From what I remember, and even what people are talking about now, its popularity never truly dwindled. At first, hyping it up was seen as a bit of a troll, but as it genuinely built up, people genuinely started falling in love with the story. It already has agenda cultures and power scaling debates, with some people even putting Chihiro up there with some of anime's greatest swordsmen. And of course, it's premised on revenge, so I'm interested in seeing Chihiro's character development. And it definitely feels like the most shonen of the bunch, with fans seeing it as some sort of amalgamation of Naruto, Bleach, and JJK. And let me tell you, that's a great 3 to be a combination of. Now that we've gone through all 6, I can explain what I believe will form this new era's big 3. So ladies, gentlemen, and all others, I present to you Dandadan, Kagurabachi, and Gachiakuda. And I know, this may be a shock to some people because a lot of people love Sakamoto Days, and I myself keep going on and on about Undead Unluck. But see, both of them, as well as Kaiju, have things that I believe hold them back from truly reaching legendary status. Starting with Undead Unluck, its anime adaptation was honestly not really received that well, with very few people talking about it even when it was airing, and practically nobody does besides me now. This probably wasn't helped by the admittedly loads of fan service as early as episode 1, as a lot of the comedy revolves around the main characters either A, being naked, or B, having sexual tension. For Kaiju number 8, I just can't say that the writing is amazing. You can easily get it, but that's the thing. It's almost too easy. There isn't really much to read in between the lines as some more complex stories may have. And again, it isn't great that it feels like an AOT reskin, which I know sounds bad and I don't mean to say with negative intentions, but y'all, at the end of the day, When you have something so similar in premise, the two are naturally going to be compared. A lot of people are going to be able to see how kaiju falls short. Also, with it having already ended, it's a pretty short manga, all things considered. So I don't know how long people are going to be talking about it or how much more there is to actually be able to do with the world. And for Sakamoto Days, it is definitely less progression based, which is a turnoff for some people as it doesn't have the standard kid MC chasing a dream. And while it does clearly have an end goal for its story, it doesn't seem like this crazy intense world with deep lore. It also does have more of an episodic feel, and coupling that with the slice of life that it kind of takes on sometimes, it can make it seem like the story isn't really going anywhere for a while. I've heard it described as a fusion between One Punch Man and Spy Family, and all I can say is look, if you like either of those series or both of them, this is definitely for you. Those wanting more of a shonen experience, not so much. Now that isn't to say that the others don't and won't have problems of their own. It may be really hard for people to lock into the frankly inane shenanigans of Dandadan, or the fact that it doesn't have a set goal like typical shonen. Gachiakuda's darker undertones or trashy comedy, literally trashy, may not appeal to wider audiences. Kagurabachi is still relatively in its early stages, and admittedly a lot is riding on this new anime adaptation to bolster its hype. But overall, these three are simply too popular audience-wise and too good story-wise for me to not have in my top 3. Every era has the stories that are gonna define it, and whether any of these actually become part of the new era big 3 or not, one thing's for sure is that they're clearly going to be carrying the next generation. So I hope that this video was able to get you interested enough to check out all of these titles, because all of them offer something amazing in their own way, and that I was able to demonstrate to all the anime fans that we still have a lot of years left of our favorite medium. So let me know what you think about this video in the comments below. I want to hear all your thoughts, and especially some other new series that I didn't mention. Now that is the end of the video, y'all, but before we go, like it, subscribe, and share it around with all your friends. That's gonna be all from me. I'll catch you on the next one, and always remember, well, I guess graduate? I guess the question on everybody's mind is, what are the parallels of these new anime to some old ones? For me, I'd personally say that Gachiakuda is like Naruto, Dandadan is One Piece, Kagurabachi is Bleach, Sakamoto Days is more One Punch Man, Kaiju number 8 is definitely AOT, and Undead Unluck, listen, I maintain that Undead Unluck is unique enough of a story to be put there on its own, and I need everybody to go and watch it now and read it now so that they know that they need to bring the anime back.